Star Wars Theory is the biggest Star Wars fan channel on YouTube. Millions of subscribers, hundreds of millions of views, a Vader fan film that went viral, watch parties that feel like sporting events. If you're online and you care about Star Wars, chances are you've stumbled across his content. He built all of this off passion, not studio backing, not industry connections, just sheer enthusiasm and the willingness to put his face, his voice, and his money into the galaxy far, far away. For a long time, that made him bulletproof. He wasn't a critic, he wasn't a corporate shill, he was one of us, a fan. And yet today, he's one of the most divisive figures in the fandom. Depending on who you ask, he's either the genius-level fan who carried the torch when Disney fumbled, or he's the clickbait king who turned outrage into a full-time job. So which is it? To understand the controversy, you have to roll back. Theory didn't start out as a provocateur. His early channel was pure fandom fuel, lore videos breaking down obscure corners of the galaxy, what-if scenarios that spun wild alternate histories, and of course, his Vader fan film. That project changed everything. Funded out of his own pocket, Vader Episode 1, Shards of the Past, was the kind of passion project most fans only dream about. It had production values high enough to rival Lucasfilm's own output, and it electrified the community. For the first time, a YouTuber wasn't just talking about Star Wars, he was making it. And for that, he was celebrated. Disney's attempt to copyright claim the film only boosted his profile further. To many fans, he wasn't just a content creator, he was a folk hero standing up against the corporate machine. When Disney's sequel trilogy rolled out, Star Wars itself stopped being just movies. It became a cultural battlefield. The Force Awakens united the fandom briefly, but The Last Jedi tore it apart. Suddenly, every conversation wasn't just about pacing or characters, it was about identity, politics, and ideology. Disney leaned into this. Representation wasn't just part of the story, it was the marketing hook. Don't like it? Then you're toxic. That was the vibe. Star Wars was no longer just entertainment, it was a cultural statement. And Theory? He mirrored it. His channel shifted, the thumbnails got angrier, the speculation louder, the what-if scenarios gave way to what went wrong breakdowns. Where once he'd dive into canon, now he diagnosed the disease. And it worked, because that's what the fandom wanted. A general to rally around in a war Disney itself created. That's where the divide happened. To some, Theory went from fan to opportunist. The lore videos that once defined him were replaced with thumbnails screaming about the collapse of Disney Star Wars, speculation about a Lucasfilm civil war, endless rants about Kathleen Kennedy. But to others, this was honesty. They saw a man saying out loud what millions of fans were thinking. They didn't want neutral lore anymore. They wanted someone who would stand up to what they saw as corporate sabotage of their favorite universe. And here's the irony. Both groups are right. Controversy started following him. His use of AI deepfakes brought backlash. His Mark Hamill hates me now video was seen by critics as a meltdown. His feuds with other creators made him look petty. His coverage of shows like The Acolyte turned into lightning rods. The truth is, Star Wars has been a cultural battleground since Disney bought it. Every release since The Last Jedi has been framed less as storytelling and more as a culture war flashpoint. When that's the landscape, how could Theory's channel stay the same? If Disney makes identity the battleground, then covering Star Wars means covering identity. If Lucasfilm turns movies into ideological messaging, then reacting to Star Wars becomes reacting to ideology. Theory isn't masterminding a culture war, he's surfing the one Disney created. So is he a genius fan or a clickbait king? The truth is, he's both. He's the guy who poured his heart and wallet into a Vader fan film that gave millions goosebumps. And he's the guy who fills feeds with thumbnails about Disney's collapse because that's what the algorithm rewards. He's a fan who cried when Luke Skywalker showed up in The Mandalorian, and he's a YouTuber who has turned outrage into a genre. If you think he sold out, maybe he did. If you think he saved the fandom, maybe he did that too. The reality is, Star Wars Theory became exactly what Star Wars itself became. Half passion project, half culture war product. And maybe that's the real irony. For all his success, Theory isn't shaping Star Wars so much as he's reflecting it. The fandom wanted someone who would mirror their frustration back at them. The algorithm wanted someone who would stoke emotion, and Disney? Disney wanted Star Wars to be a cultural event, not just a space opera. Put those forces together, and you get Star Wars Theory. A man who started out making what-if videos about Anakin and ended up a lightning rod for the entire fandom. So yeah, he's a genius fan. And he's a clickbait king. But maybe that's exactly the Star Wars we deserve in 2025. So what do you think? Genius fan or clickbait Jedi? Drop your take in the comments and subscribe before Mickey Mouse copyrights this.